So welcome if you're already watching. Just enjoy the music of the harp just for a few little while longer whilst I just finish off setting up the stream to other locations, and then we'll get going. So welcome, namaste. I've seen Christine and Lewis say hello, and a few others just joining us, I think on other channels. If you happen to be watching this on anything other than YouTube, I won't be able to see your comments, but if you are on YouTube, you should be able to comment if you're subscribed to the channel. Welcome. What a beautiful Friday it's been. Just finished watching a most amazing tennis match, if you're into tennis. Really excellent. And what struck me about the commitment of the people in that particular game. Anyway, I wanted to focus this particular live stream on self-realization, busting the myths. I just feel this is particularly important to just have a look at this for a while, and then we'll have a meditation to close as always. And the fundamental thing that I really want to say about this, the biggest myth, the biggest issue, if you like, that seems to block most people, is the belief that you are not already this realized self. Yes, that's a myth, that you're not this, and that there's something within that you have to do to achieve it or realize it. And actually, in actual fact, is one of the fundamental awarenesses that emerges naturally, consequentially, of the realization, is that actually you've always, literally always, been this that I refer to as infinite silence. It's so unequivocally clear to you, not so much as an individual, but as the infinite and realized self, that actually there's never been a moment when you are not that. Never been a moment when you are not that. And actually, it's only the thought or belief, the combination of those two, that you're not that actually keeps it away from it being your experiential realization in this body that you have. This single myth, this single belief that you're not it, is the fundamental block. And it's a myth that you're not that. All other issues that we come across, we speak about in satsang, or gathering in grace as I call it, and all the issues that people explore about self-realization, spiritual path and so forth. All the other issues are really subsets of that one of that one issue. You know, you could include things like it's hard. You know, it's some task to achieve, and it's hard to become self-realized or enlightened. Or that it's only for the special few. That's another big one. Or it's something, there's something I have to lose in the process. All these beliefs, and indeed any other issues that one might have, or what perceives that one has, are actually subsets of the myth and belief that you are not this realized self already. And all of them basically come down to fears about it. And who could have those fears other than our old friend ego? But the thing to understand is the absolute, the source, the infinite silence. Its absolute nature is indeed infinite, and therefore there's nothing outside of it. So all the experiences and so forth must be taking place within that, and it's only the identification with this myth, this belief that you're not that, that causes the suffering in the first place. That's the root, indeed, of all suffering. This belief that you're not that. It seems so simple, and indeed, in truth, it actually is. That's one of the great beauties of it, and within that incredible simplicity that we are already this realized self, therein lies its power, because ultimately truth asks nothing of you, whereas ego will ask for your life. Truth requires nothing. There's nothing to be attained. That's why it's called a realization. A realization that it is here, and it is here now, and not only that, that you are it. But it's important to understand in that it's actually non-personal. You see, ego likes to think of itself as a person, and personhood is in essence suffering, because it's identification with the form, the body, and the story of it. And that's a personal identity, whereas the self, the true self, the realized self, is completely non-personal. The form that you have is still there, but now there's no identification, no attachment, and no belief that you are that. There's just the knowing. Just the knowing that you are in fact already this infinite silence. And that, the perfume of that, as I like to call it, its expression is joy, and that joy is for no reason, and it's for no reason because it's emanating naturally as a consequence of that silence that you are already. And you might also say these things that we refer to as grace, love, peace, truth, and so forth. These are really all, it turns out, the same words, or different words should I say, for the same thing, the perfumes of the silence. So one of the things to get totally clear on, to be open to the possibility at all times that actually you are this already, and you've never not been it. Never not been it. And committing to that as your truth can go to great extremes, as I've just seen in this tennis match that I've just been watching that went to 20 odd games, something in the 5th set. The amount of commitment that people put into life and things, and yet actually if we had a commitment from the heart to our highest truth, then its realization is there, open, ready, waiting for it to be expressed. So everything else, as I've said already, all the other issues that we perceive are subsets of this one mistaken belief, myth, that you're not this. I also refer to it as a case of mistaken identity, or I-dentity, the small I, the ego I, as opposed to the infinite I. Could it really be this simple? For ego mind, this is hard to take. It would perceive it as hard to take, because it's invested so much time and effort into its identity, and its function is one of self-preservation with a small s. And the one big thing that it truly fears is its annihilation, its ending. But this fear is ultimately proven to be unreal, because what's left is the self when the ego and the identification with it passes. So even this you can let go of. There is, in truth, nothing to lose. That's another myth, that there's something to lose. You have nothing to lose, for this is infinite. This simple, and the fact that it's here now. How beautiful. So this is why I call it life's greatest and simplest gift. Greatest because it is infinite, and simplest because you are already it. Some of you may have seen these cards I have. I call them wisdom cards. Some of you may have them. One of the ones I particularly want to just read out to you tonight. Just listen carefully, maybe even close your eyes as I read these words to you now, and see what it is that your heart has to say about them. It goes like this: realizing, not seeking. Finding, not searching. Seeing, not looking. It is, capital I-S for infinite silence, here. And it is here now. So that realizing, not seeking, we talk of spiritual seeking, and whilst there may be some merit, I just noticed there, by the way, the stream may have briefly gone off. I hope you're all okay. So making self-realization a goal, a future state, this pushes it away from you. It's really much more about an openness to the possibility and indeed the truth that it is here now. It's also said that one has to want this. I would say choose is a better word. It turns out to be a choice. The choice is to go with the identification with the ego, or with the possibility that you are already this. Making this your regular and permanent choice, what I call the highest and greatest good, will take you over the myth barrier. So I also go on to say finding, not searching. The finding is that actually it's always been this way, and you have always been this. And the seeing is not a looking outside of you, beyond you, but actually the seeing is the seeing from the very source of even your beingness, and the knowing that it is here now. So much in life we talk about trust, and usually we spend a lot of time trusting what's going on up here and listening to the noisiness of thoughts and ego going on. And this places our trust in fundamentally the wrong place, an ineffective place. And we dare to trust this in lieu of the calling of the heart. But if you truly trust the heart, then you're actually dropping the dare, because the daring to trust the ego is what leads to suffering, and the actual opening to the calling of the heart is what will lead to the end of suffering. So back to our fundamental myth that you're not this. It's the ultimate arrogance of ego to conceive of itself as something outside of the true self. And it's actually that ultimately will also lead to its downfall. If there's one inevitability in the entire universe, is that you are this and you are this now, and it will be realised, whether in this form or in another. So simple and so beautiful. Such a great gift. The gift that you are already. I shared a few posts earlier today on Facebook. One of them was, ego is simply thoughts obsessed with themselves. The truth is silence. The truth is silence. And something came to me also to share the other day, which is very profound if you can listen to it deeply from your heart, and it was this. And I'm going to use the word I in this sentence, but I'm referring to the infinite I in this case. Is all I truly know is silence. The rest is simply a projection. All I truly know is silence, and when the realization emerges, this you will see clearly. It won't need anybody to tell you, you'll just know. You'll just know. All I truly know is silence. The rest, if you like, is some kind of guesswork, a perceptual framework which is only looking through a very small fraction of the totality. So really you can only truly know the absolute that you are. The rest is from a very limited perspective. So, if there's one myth for you to release, one thing to remember, is that you are already this. Not because this guy called Philip says so, but because actually in your heart which is directly connected to the silence. You are already this. Almost everything else you can drop. You can drop, just let go of it all. And remember that you are already this. So simple, profound, powerful truth. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. There's many more things one could say, but let's just leave that there now. If there's any questions anybody wants to ask about that, I can see them on YouTube. So I'll just give that a few moments and we'll go to the meditation. So just, yeah, nothing's popping up at the moment. So if you want to start getting yourself comfortable, whether you're gonna sit down or lie down, just closing your eyes. I remember what I shared on one of the streams a little while back. As your eyes are closed, just remember just that they rotate upwards as if they're looking out through your third eye area. You'll find this focuses you and centers you very effectively. Just bringing your attention to your body. Opening from your heart to the experience of spheres of light, the pure universal consciousness of I am. That's non-personal. And then as your attention rests on this universal beingness, this aliveness, this I amness, just know that this can be sensed, seen or witnessed because it is seen from the deeper essence that is infinite silence. So just allow your attention to rest in this as this silence. Being open to the truth that actually you are already this. Never not been this silence. And simply allowing all other phenomena, experiential phenomena, to be watched, witnessed from this silent space. Just simply knowing that as your trust is placed in and as this silence, everything else is automatically offered up to this for and its acceptance of its invitation to return home to the silence. Simply letting all phenomena go, trusting only in the silence, as the silence, that you are this infinite, formless, timeless, eternal essence here, now. Everything melting into and as this presence, that you are. Nothing to do, no effort required, just simply relaxing, melting into, merging with and as this silence, infinite silence. This ever presence, nothing more than this. Trusting only this. No requirements, no goals, just silence. Infinite eternity. Pure essence. Here, now. The singularity and oneness of silence. Everything melting away, completely dissolved. Only the no-thingness of the silence that's truly here and important now. Accepting its universal invitation home. For home is where you are. In bliss as this. The miracle of the silence that you are. this awareness of itself, this knowingness. This presence. Nothing else matters. Simply here, now. And you are this. So keeping your attention in and as this silence, as your body becomes aware, you're aware of the chair you're sitting in or lying on, just the tension rested in and as the silence. Just knowing that you are this. And just allow that, your body, yourself, just to come back to this space, but with the attention rested in and as the silence. Enjoy the harp music for a few minutes, and then I'll come back and just see if there's anything anybody wants to share. welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the harp music, courtesy of Tara, recorded by her husband Ken, both collectively known as Omnisphere. So Christine's saying, feels like I am merged with the ocean. All I truly know is silence, and resonates so very deeply. Beautiful, Christine. And the reason for that is it is your truth. Not because I say so, but because now one can see, as in the infinite one, that one is that. This silence. This one you can trust. This one you know as yourself with a big S that is non-personal, yet is infinite and expresses itself through the form that you have been gifted with from that, to experience yourself as this in the physical, a great gift. A gift of life, unto life, as life. For life is that which you are. The isness of the silence. So thank you for sharing that, Christine. So just see if there's anything else anybody else wants to share before we come to a close. And whilst I'm just waiting there, just know that if you've joined partway through, the recording will come live on YouTube, usually within an hour or less than an hour. It takes a little while for it to process, but you'll be able to watch it from the beginning if you haven't done so, and you'll be able to share it as well, so it'll be there on the channel not long after we close here. And I think also I'm right in saying in the top right of the screen there's a little I button. If you hover your mouse over it, that will probably point you at other prior streams and so forth if you missed any of those. We're currently due to have the next stream in 2 weeks' time. Today's Friday the 13th, I understand, so that will be the July the 27th. And the next event I have will be at the monastery. I think it's the Sunday the 5th of August is the first Sunday in August. I'll be doing the opening meditation for the Health and Wellbeing Day from 11 till 11:30, and then in the nave thereafter sharing and talking to people about the Find Yourself Self Realisation program starting at the monastery. So do come along, do share, do join if you can on those days. And there's a possibility that's emerging of going back to St Anne's. Some of you may have seen the 2-hour recording that was done there, to do a whole day event. That's likely to take place sometime between August and December. So when I have that fixed, I'll let you know. But that would be really good. I'm hoping that that one might be recorded as well, but we'll see. That was New Horizons at St Anne's on Sea. So if you're fancy a trip out there, it's a lovely group. Is there anything else? No, I think that's probably about it. So yeah, if there's anything else anybody wants to share, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll close with some more harp music for a few minutes and then bring the stream to an end. You're welcome, Lewis. I'm glad you made it. Look forward to seeing you again. Oh, of course, the final date for those who are on the monastery program, forgot to mention, as I'm sure you'll know, is the 22nd of July. So that brings that particular program to an end. If there's anybody that has missed one from the monastery program and wanted to come to that final one, sorry, from the hub program that wanted to come to the final one at the monastery, let me know. Thank you, Christine, for that. You've just reminded me with that comment, Christine, something that came to me in the meditation that I felt would be useful to share at the end. So thank you for the little reminder there. It's actually from the book of Mirdad. The book of Mirdad, that's Mirdad, by a chap called Mikhail Naimi, I realised being. And I remember reading, it's a novel actually, unusually a spiritual novel, but a very profound one. And there's a few things I've shared from there before, but one of the ones I've perhaps not shared before is this sentence. And it says, when God says I, nothing remains unsaid. When God says I, nothing remains unsaid. This, therefore, is the infinite I, and therefore embraces and is indeed both no thing and everything all at once. So with that, I'll leave you. I'll go over to the harp music now. Have a great weekend, everybody, and see you all again soon.